89.9 KMOJ, the People Station. Twin Cities, I'm Glam Life Kim. It's 5 after the 1 o'clock hour, and right now it is time for Minneapolis 360 with Anthony Taylor. How are you today, Anthony?
I am feeling well. I'm feeling blessed today. Only thing I would need, Kim, is about 80 degrees and some sun. But if the sun is out a little bit, I'm good. How you doing today?
I am blessed. You know what? I am happy to see the sun out. That definitely helps. Yes, warmer weather would be nice.
It would be nice. That's for real. And it is always my pleasure, Minneapolis, to be with you. My name is Anthony Taylor. I am the African American Community Specialist for the city of Minneapolis. And again, I would always tell you as we start our show, is I just feel always blessed to be able to help with this platform to just kind of talk about a lot of issues in the city of Minneapolis that concern a lot of our residents. And if you've been a frequent person tuning into our show, we always try to give you, at least I try to give you the best information so you can make informed decisions about what's going on. And a lot of times there's things that happen in our city that we just aren't aware about, but there's some of us who are really aware of a lot of things that are going on in our city and that's continued to go on in our city. One of those things is the Upper Harbor Terminal project. So over the years, we've had a lot of different guests come on. Our two guests have been on before, but I just want to mention a couple of things before we get started, is that how important this project is, and some of the people who've been putting in a lot of work around this project. A, to get this project going, to B, have community voice activated, and C, really taking time so folks can understand what's going on. Now, a lot of times we've had city folk on who work internally in the city that's been doing some work, but I just want to really acknowledge a lot of people in the community. There's other folks who are really super invested around Upper Harbor and what that looks like and what that brings to the north side of Minneapolis. So I've got two guests on. I'll get to those two guests here in a second. Just really quickly, Minneapolis, before we get started, we know that COVID is happening as well, so just please make sure that we're doing all the precautionary things that we need to do. Also, too, Minneapolis, I just want to kind of put some stuff in the air and the space real quick before we get into our guests. That there's a lot of work that's going to be happening in our city around a lot of huge topics that concern us as a city, a state, and a nation. If I'm talking about us and nationwide and then bring it down locally, is always, of course, to talk about vaccines and vaccinations and what that looks like for our families. So understand and kind of keep in tune and keep informed on vaccination information, how that affects you and your family and what's going on. Our program has dedicated a lot of time and space for vaccination. So understand that and really get information that you need to make informed decisions about vaccinations. I think we had a show here not too long ago, and we really talked about it's a personal decision. Nor Kim was definitely trying to tell folks what to do. It's all about the information. Secondly, and lastly, before we get into our guests, is really some of the work that's been going on around transforming community safety with the Office of Violence Prevention and the Health Department in collaboration with other community partners around what that looks like. There's a lot of upcoming events and informational sessions, so please be on the lookout for those meetings and those times. You can always look on the city's website around transforming community safety, the Office of Violence Prevention, to get that information. So as we go and as we talk about a lot of things, and the last thing I want to mention, and I'm sorry because I don't want to forget this, is also the upcoming trial that we have for Minneapolis police officer Chauvin murder of George Floyd. So there's a lot of things that's coming up in our city that is monumental for us to be informed and be involved. So as we go on, especially with this platform, I want to make sure that folks are aware of that. But I want to transition now. I had to do my little speech, Kim. I had to throw that in there because I think it's important for folks to know.
Absolutely.
I want to bring on two people who've been on the show before, and it's talking about Upper Harbor Terminal. Markella Smith is a Upper Harbor Terminal Collaborative Planning Committee co-chair, and Hillary Holmes, Upper Harbor Project Coordinator for the city of Minneapolis. Welcome back, ladies, and how you doing today?
Hi, thanks. Oh, sorry.
Is that you,
Thanks for
Markella?
having us. Yep, it is. Sorry. Thanks for having us on again.
Oh, absolutely. And Hillary, are you there too?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. So let's start with you, Markella. Tell us a little bit about what you do and the collaborative planning committee. What exactly is involved in that?
Right. So, this committee, well, I'm the executive director at McKinley Community. And so there's obviously like a vested interest in making sure that this development that will be in McKinley technically is going to be equitable, not only for McKinley residents, but Northside residents. And so co-chairing the committee was designed to give that community input and that community feedback. And so that's what we've been leading, for the past year and a half, is making sure that the voices of our Northside residents and our neighbors and community members are heard at this table. So it's definitely been entertaining.
And Hillary, kind of describe what you do as far as being this project coordinator for the city of Minneapolis. You've been on the show quite a few times, and I know other people that you are associated with has been on, but just kind of give us an idea of your role in this project.
Yeah, thanks. So I staff the Collaborative Planning Committee that Markella co-chairs, and I work on other city-owned commercial real estate in the city. And Upper Harbor Terminal is a really big site and is a really big part of that work. And so I spend a lot of my time working on that site, and I spent a lot of the past year and a half to 2 years working on the Collaborative Planning Committee, and so getting to know that group of folks over the past couple of years.
So when we talk about Upper Harbor, right, so if folks aren't aware of this project, and this is not a new thing, right, this is years in the making around discussion and planning and community feedback and a lot of other ongoing things that's going to happen. Kind of either one of you, and I'll let you decide who does what. Just give me, give our viewers just a quick summary of what this project is really all about.
Yeah, I'll start, and I'm sure, Markella can jump in whenever, of course. So this site is over 48 acres of city-owned property that is kind of generally between the Lowry Avenue and Dowling Avenue. It's north of Lowry, but really to give some people some landmarks, if you aren't familiar with where it is. So it's between I-94 and the Mississippi River, and there's about a mile of riverfront on the river. That's part of the overall site. And there's a big opportunity to reconnect the McKinley neighborhood and the greater North Side with the riverfront and give public access to that entire mile of riverfront, to have some trails for biking and walking, to have people get to the river, and to have a new park space at Dowling in the river. And so the park board's involved and has been for a long time to help design and figure out what that park should be, what the programming should be. So that's another process that's running parallel. And we're all working together on our different pieces. There is the opportunity for private development as well. And then a lot of opportunity around city retaining public ownership of the land, and then using that ownership structure to have some annual ground lease payments for the private development that's then built on top of it, and to be invested back into the Northside community. There are other opportunities for community benefits, and those come in the form of, affordable housing. And when we've been talking about that over the past few years, we're talking about what's affordable, what's attainable to current Northside residents. And so there's been a lot of discussion at the Collaborative Planning Committee around that. There's a mix of, income ranges for the affordability. It was really important to the committee to have that as well. There's opportunity for jobs, and we're talking about living wage jobs. and then also some training opportunities related to jobs. The park space I mentioned is a really huge, important part of it, and then those connections to the site and to the riverfront. And then something that people have probably heard a lot about, too, is the Community Performing Arts Center. And First Avenue's been working on that as part of the development team, and some community benefits come out of each of those components. So it's pretty stacked. There's a lot going on with the redevelopment, a lot that's planned and being proposed. And if I forgot anything, Markella, please jump in.
I think the only thing I would add is that, this is an old barge shipping terminal. Like, it hasn't been used as that in years. And then public access to it has been dangerous and cut off. So this is an opportunity to, really, one, utilize the space that's there and that's been just sitting there. But also it's really a nice opportunity to connect the north side to the river with all of the parkland and the Performing Arts Center and all of that. So that would be the only piece I would add.
We are talking with Markella Smith and Hillary Holmes, talking about the Upper Harbor Terminal project. What's the status of this project, right? I mean, and I said this before, this has been years in the making. So as we've talked since the last time you guys have been on the show, where are we at now?
Yeah, so maybe I'll start really quick talking about kind of where we've been since we were talking to you in December, and maybe Markella can talk a bit more about the work of the committee and kind of what she sees coming up next. So when we were talking to you, Anthony, in December, the draft coordinated plan for redevelopment of the site was released for public comment, and then there was a public comment period through December and into January. And so that wrapped up in January, and the result of there was an online survey to gather feedback, and then some people had submitted comments or letters as well, and those were accepted by city staff and shared with the Collaborative Planning Committee. And then there's going to be a presentation next week at City Council Committee, the Business Inspections, Licensing, Housing, and Zoning Committee, and so that's been called BIZ Committee for short, BIHC. And so there's going to be a presentation about, the last 1.5 to 2 years of work through the committee and with the city project team and the development team working together to create that draft coordinated plan. So that's a presentation people can tune into next week. And that's really where we've come. There's been some updates to the plan to the draft plan over the last couple of months. And the committee, they had their last meeting on January 27th, and right up until the end of that meeting, they were still, they're still working through stuff, still making recommendations, very committed and very involved. So if Markella wants to talk a little more about kind of what the committee was up to and kind of what's happening now with the committee, please go ahead.
Yeah, so as Hillary stated, the committee is not meeting at the moment. Our last meeting was in January. But at the end of that meeting, we did request that we get pulled into meetings again once we get the AUAR done, once these environmental studies come back, so that we can discuss the results and everything that came back from those studies. So the committee is very much still engaged. We plan to just keep engaging. There will be other opportunities for us to be involved and help make decisions. And I know that the committee is dedicated for staying at the table and having those meetings and those discussions and helping move some of this along.
And Markella, you talked a little bit earlier when you spoke about some of the things that this project is going to provide. Is there any other things that folks should know around the scope of this project?
Yeah, I mean, man, I've been saying from the beginning, there is so much potential with this project. Potential for ownership, whether it's a business or a townhome, real community investment, which we all know the North Side has not had a lot of investment into it. And so this is a really prime opportunity to change what's happened in the past and create something new moving forward. And I'm really excited to see small businesses go in there, Black-owned small businesses, and we have time to get ready, but people need to start thinking about that now. And then the Performing Arts Center, this is a really a huge, there's just so much opportunity. Like, I say that word over and over and over again, but that's what gets me excited, is the opportunity and the possibilities. And call me naive, but I believe in those, right? I believe in what could be. And I see just so much beauty, and I see our kids having performances there and being at the park, and it's really a chance to just change the North Side, like change the narrative of the North Side. So
we are talking about Upper Harbor Terminal, the project with Hillary Holmes and Markella Smith. Again, Minneapolis, we have been talking about this for quite a long time. Some of you that are in the know about this. Some who are maybe heard a little bit about this and not really understanding it. The reason why this has been on the show a lot, because it's vitally important and it's monumental. So as we've been going through this conversation and we've had these talks, and this work has been going around in our community, whether it's the learning tables and a lot of other things that have been happening with community voice, one of the things that I hear Markella and Hillary is, will this really meet the needs of the North Side? Like, has every voice, everybody has been kind of brought to the table? Has there been collaboration from other organizations and people who are doing the work? How do you guys or the folks that work around this project make sure that this meets the needs of Northside residents?
Well, go ahead, Markella.
I'll just say quickly, I will say that we've had every different perspective, right, brought to the table. But not every single perspective is possible in one development. So I really want to stress that, is that we've tried to make sure that every voice is heard. And also we've worked really, really hard to like get down to the nitty gritty. And those are hard conversations of, well, I want to see this happen. Well, if we can't do that, what can we do? So it's about compromise, and it's about coming together to make sure that the North Side is brought up in this, right? Like, the North Side is improved from this, and not improve to the point where we're moving people out of North Minneapolis, but improve for the residents that are there. And that's one thing we've pushed for, is making sure that the people who live here now, the people who have been displaced, whether it's from redlining, from the tornado, the mortgage crisis, all of that, like, we want to make sure that those people who are here and who have been here can come back and live in a place that represents them. I don't know if that answers your question, but... And
it does. And listen, there's no right or wrong answer that I'm looking for, right? I hear things and I know about what's kind of going on from the people I talk to. So, and again, thank you for answering that. Hillary, do you want to kind of add to that question too as well? Like how are we making sure that this is meeting the needs of Northside residents?
Yeah. Thanks for asking that, Anthony. That is really important. I think, I know that Markella, always has the interest and the needs of the North Side and West Minneapolis front and center. And I would say, the same for the project team on behalf of the city, is in response to, community, requests and asks and questions and, wondering, if this could be different or if this has changed, or if you could look at this certain part of the project differently, or are you thinking about this? And, through the last few years, through the Collaborative Planning Committee and through the learning tables, the engagement events that the Public Policy Project, Environmental Justice Coordinating Council was convening on a monthly basis, a lot of information came in through those events and through those groups. And the plan, the draft plan that's out, is it has really evolved and really changed in response to that. So, meaning from the concept plan, the concept plan that the City Council approved was back in March 2019, and even that plan was updated and revised in response to what we were hearing at that time. And then between what was in the concept plan and what is in the draft coordinated plan, there really have been big shifts and some big changes made in the plan itself and what it's delivering and what it's proposed to deliver. And so, I've said this before, and, it's really true that this is a milestone, but it's not the end. This is, a step in what's going to be, a many-year redevelopment project. There's a lot that can happen on the site, and it's going to take time, and it's going to take, people to stay involved. And so I think you'll see that, this spring and through the summer, and not just this year, but, if we're looking at 2021, there's public realm engagement going on, and some opportunities to be involved in that. And, Markella had mentioned opportunities for community ownership, and that is a really important role in a couple different pieces of the redevelopment. And so to, keep eyes on and ears open about those opportunities around what's been, referred to as a community entity. But if you think about like a community-based organization that's Northside based and Northside focused, there will be a selection process for an entity or organization to help manage and own some of that commercial real estate. So I would say that a lot of these ideas have been put into the plan and incorporated into the plan through these conversations in community.
And Hillary, as we end this show, just kind of tell folks what to stay tuned for. Like, how do they get involved? Like, just give us some next steps, how folks can still be involved with this project or informed, which kind of is the same thing. But go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. So the project website is a really great home base for information. Starting early this year, there's going to be an environmental review process starting. There's going to be that process starts next week and is going to last through the summer. And there's going to be information on the project website about that. So I want to make sure people are checking back to the website to stay up to date on that info. And the same thing with the public realm and infrastructure project. That's on the website. And so there's opportunities around that as well. And then there would be information about that community entity selection process and other kind of, different parts of the project as it comes up. This is a living, breathing project, and so things are coming up often. So to keep an eye on the project website, that's upperharbormpls.com. I also want to note there's a new project video or updated project video that's on the site. That public realm page has some videos to check out too that were done by Juxta. And so there's just a lot of good information on the site, and it is getting updated constantly. So keep checking back to that.
One more time for that, the website.
Yeah, upperharbormpls.com. And, Markella and McKinley Community have been active as well as far as, getting word out about things and keeping people up to date. So if Markella has anything to add, if we have time.
Go ahead, Markella.
Yeah, definitely. You guys can always check out the website. It is being updated this week. It's mckinleycommunity.org, or follow us on Facebook. That's the most easiest for us to update on a more regular basis. So just look up McKinley Community on Facebook and Instagram, and we'll continue to update as much as we can on all the channels.
I want to thank you two ladies for being on this show again. Great information. I think this is important, and this project is just really monumental, right, for our city. So I appreciate you both for coming on again today on Minneapolis 360. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks again, Anthony.
Upper Harbor, Kim, I mean, I think if you understand and look at the scope, if people do I mean, this could change a big part of the north side. And they're talking
Absolutely.
about a lot of the development and the designs and everything else. I mean, I think that's important. What's your thoughts on that?
I agree. I know there's been a lot of controversy and just a lot of dilemma about it, but I think it would be great for the north side. I mean, and all we can do, we can give it a try, right? If not, let's give them a hard time. No, I'm just playing.
I give them a hard. Hey, listen, man, I'm definitely not mad at folks making good trouble, right?
Right.
What John Lewis said.
Right.
Nothing wrong with making good trouble.
Right. If it can bring us jobs, and if it, you know what I mean, and bring something for our community to do, there's really not much, for us to do just right here on our side of town. Of course, you can go downtown or, but I just think that it could be a good thing.
And it's a beautiful piece of land on the river. I mean, you can't, and I just think that's something. But again, there's other folks in the community that's doing work around that too. So hopefully there's some type of collaboration and folks' voices can get heard.
That would be great.
And people can come to a consensus. Like, you can't always agree. Like, everybody can't always agree. But I think a consensus, I think is helpful and meaningful. So
Absolutely.
Oh, man, it goes by fast.
It does.
Minneapolis, Kim, it's always a pleasure. I am out. I will see everybody in 2 weeks. Please stay warm and stay safe, Minnesota. God bless. I'm out.
All right. Thank you, Anthony. Up next is Zany K, the Mad Mouth himself. He's going to bring you home this afternoon. Keep listening.